Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you guys hear me? Is the sound working? Is it working? Yes, no? Okay, it should be working from my side. Looks as though it's working. I don't know on your side. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hardships and ease, the story of life. This is. In other words, this world, we all have to live in this world. We all have to go through a series of events. We all have to go through things like childhood. We go through adulthood. Many of us have to go through education. Many of us have to go through, the tests and the tribulations of working in society, getting on with other people, illnesses, death, all these things in life. This is part and parcel of life, basically. So imagine, you kind of coming into this world and you kind of signing a contract, and in that contract, all these things is written. So when you came into this world, imagine you signed a contract to say that you were gonna, accept the test of this world. You were gonna accept the hardships of this world. You were gonna accept there's gonna be sometimes there's life's gonna be easy, sometimes life's gonna be hard. Sometimes you're gonna have to suffer illnesses. Sometimes it's gonna be maybe a paper cut, and maybe it's gonna be something even worse than that. Maybe it's cancer. Maybe it's some other illness that you're gonna have to go through. And it's all that kind of surprises. Life is just filled with surprises. Sometimes you wake up one morning, some calamity has hit you, and sometimes you wake up one morning and maybe some good things have happened to you. So it's like, you've got this kind of difficulty that you go through in life. And the Quran, it just keeps reminding us about getting through it. Do sabr, hardships are going to come, persevere, focus on what's important in life, focus on the thing that's going to create a society, focus on making yourself a better person, focus on providing for your family, for your for your community. This is what the Quran keeps on telling us, that you have to carry on going. And if you look throughout the Quran, many of the prophets that came and the pious people of the past, men, women that came, they all tried their best to live in this world, and they were all, living as human beings. They all had the same problems that we have today, and it's just that the problems in different times are repackaged in different ways. So, we should help each other as well in times of difficulty, hardships, support one another, and this is what's going to get this ummah through. Difficult times are going to come to us in this country and in other countries around the world, politically, whether it's through education, whether it's through the economy, financial, health, from all different aspects, we are going to have to suffer. But there's going to be ease as well. There's going to be times of ease, times of ease, inshallah. So, anyway, saying that, how is everyone? How's the week been for you guys? So, alhamdulillah, I've started the new poetry. If any of you guys have been watching it, and this poet is a very, very interesting poet. A lot of his poet is based upon something which is known as ghazal poetry. Ghazal poetry in Arabic basically means romantic poetry. Poetry that is to do with like a guy having a discussion, a conversation with a like a, fictional character, a woman, and there's a lot of description of women in there. So there's lots of emotion in there, and I mean, it's not like the modern kind of ghazal, as in ghazal, the songs, and the modern kind of understanding of ghazal. But he was one of the founders of ghazal, of this Arabic type of poetry, which was basically more focused on poetry that was oriented around lovers. And there's nothing vulgar in his poetry. Many of the Sahaba praised Umar ibn Abi Rabi'ah. So he's the poet, Umar ibn Abi Rabi'ah. He was praised. Ibn Mas'ud praises him. Radiallahu anhu. Ibn Abbas praises him. His poetry is well known amongst the Sahaba. And many of the people have said that his poetry is something which is, you should learn his poetry as well, because poetry before the days of Sahaba and at the time of Sahaba is considered to be part of the Arabic language in which the Quran was revealed. So, we have to learn it basically. So it's about, learning this Arabic style poetry, having some sort of understanding of it. Uh, uh, this is something that we have to kind of like learn if you want to understand the Arabic language. So, inshallah, I'm going to be doing some more of Umar ibn Abi Rabi'ah. I mean, in the madrasas, I don't think they teach. They don't teach besides Mutanabbi and Hamasa and these kind of books. I don't think there's a kind of real strong push for poetry. There are some places I know in London, for example, Ibrahim College. Um there's Maulana Mujahid, mashallah, who's fantastic when it comes to this. He gave me his whole collection of poetry that he's written. Adab. I don't have it here. I've got it somewhere. Yeah, I think I showed you guys last time as well. And he's doing a lot of good work, hard work. Alhamdulillah. May Allah put barakah in his time and his efforts, and the efforts of Ibrahim College and other institutes who are trying to disseminate the sacred knowledges of Islam to the wider public. Alhamdulillah. Okay, so any questions? Have you guys got any questions or anything before Maghrib? Then I'll have to go. Anything interesting you want to tell me? My hair's gone long, as you can see. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to trim it. The hair's gone quite long. What do you guys think? Yeah, shall I cut it very short, or shall I just trim it? Let me know. Do hardships correlate with the more iman, good deeds you do? So do things get tougher the more closer you get to Allah? Yeah, this is a good question. That if you have more iman, does it mean that more trials and tribulations will come? So, I mean, it depends how you look at it. If you look at it from a logical kind of way, the more you believe in Allah and the more you're going to adhere to Allah's commands, the more you're going to abstain from committing sin, which means the more like controlling of desires you're going to have to face. So that means in situations where you normally wouldn't care about controlling your desires, more tests. They're like you're put in a situation where a dilemma. I like to call tests in the world as dilemmas. You're going to face more dilemmas in life. So this is why you have to kind of go through situations in life. The more iman you have, the more you're going to become exposed to dilemmas. The less iman you have, the less you care basically about what's going to happen to you on the Day of Judgment. The less you care, the less dilemmas you're going to have. So personally, I think this is what these narrations mean, that the more iman you have, the more closer you are to the way of the Prophet ﷺ, the more you're going to be tested. I think it's the logical way that the more restriction you're going to put onto yourself. And this is the kind of dilemma. Just like a person who's on a diet, you can say to someone, the more you adhere to the diet, the more you're going to be tested in life. Yeah. Like normally, if a person doesn't abstain from eating sugar, he doesn't really care. When a person abstains from sugar, he's like everything in life. It's like a test for him. He's got to find out whether this drink has sugar in there, whether the bread has sugar in there, whether the tea, all these kind of things. Now that he becomes more exposed to it, he becomes more kind of put into a situation where he has to make a choice dilemma. Yeah, so I think that's basically what that means. But yeah, definitely, obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tests people in various ways as well, without a doubt. Assalamu alaikum. Alaikum assalam. Can you discuss hijama and the benefits of it? I mean, hijama is a medical sort of like science. It's not really Islamic science. It has been mentioned in hadith, but it's not per se Islamic. It's like saying, a lot of people, they do this kind of Islamic tours, Sunnah tours, these kind of things. So in the sense that, okay, the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned hijama, but because the Prophet ﷺ mentioned it, it doesn't automatically make it Islamic now. The Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned many things, but it doesn't mean they're Islamic. Yeah, he mentioned, maybe he mentioned something about camel. So now it doesn't mean that riding a camel is Islamic, right? So this is why hijama, I'm not an expert in hijama. I think the best people to ask about hijama would be people who are medically trained in hijama. I'm not medically trained. I know how to do it. I mean, I've had it done to me, but I'm not really an expert. They say that hijama is supposed to be good for blood circulation and these kind of things, yeah. So I wouldn't be the best person to ask. And like I said to you guys, if I know the answer, I'll try to answer it. And if I don't know the answer, I'll just tell you. And personally, I would say do not ask scholars questions about hijama, because most scholars wouldn't know about hijama. Right? It's not a per se Islamic kind of thing. It's more those people who who have, are fully trained in it. When the same things keep affecting you mentally, how much sabr should you do? Sabr doesn't mean to be patient. Remember that. It doesn't mean be patient. Patient is different. Sabr means to get on with your life and try to overcome these mental issues. So if you're suffering from some mental issues, right, maybe taking medication is part of the sabr. Maybe staying away from certain companies is part of the sabr. Maybe, going to sleep a bit early is part of the sabr. So when people say sabr, sabr actually is not patience, be patient. Sabr is like a way of life. You need to get into a lane, like when you're driving down the road and you need to go into sabr lane. So when you get into sabr lane, right, there's kind of like adjustments you have to make in your life to kind of go on that lane. Okay, Crypto, how do we understand the verse regarding awliya that they don't grieve and fear? Yeah, so it doesn't mean they don't grieve and fear. It means la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. There won't be fear upon them. There's no fear that they're going to end up in the wrong place. Yeah, wa la hum yahzanun. It's a present verb, so in Arabic this comes for temporary, meaning that they won't go through situations where they will always feel sad. Yeah, they won't. Okay, huzn basically means when you lost something and you're upset. They won't live a life of perpetual like sadness. They won't live. Yes, they'll get sad. The Prophet's children pass away. He's upset. He cries. Yeah, but he's gonna get on with it. He's gonna carry on. So la khawfun alayhim means there's no fear upon them, as in where they're gonna end up. You know that the awliya are gonna end up in the right destination. And la yahzunun means they won't perpetually be saddened by loss in their life. Okay, why Ahmed? Say if a person commits a sin and does tawbah, will that sin affect a person later? For example, because of that sin, even though tawbah is done, they will face hardships. So yeah, so a good question. The ulama say basically when you commit a sin, like for example, let's say I commit a sin by taking drugs, I will have to face the consequences of those drugs, even if I done tawbah. I'll have to face the consequences because those drugs have affected me physically, yeah, and spiritually have affected me. Like for example, like now every time I smell that drug or I'm in that environment, I'm going to be reminded of that drug, right? So it makes my life a bit more difficult now. And a person who's never experienced this, they won't have the same issue. Or for example, let's say I commit a sin of maybe hurting someone. Now in my life, that person I've hurt, it's going to be very difficult for me to be with them exactly the same as I was before I hurt them. So when we say, a person later on is going to feel the effects of this, it's like, people say you're going to be haunted by your actions. Yeah, it's just like a logical sort of thing that, if you do wrong, be prepared to have to face the consequences, right? You spill milk. Don't be upset over the spilled milk. Get over it. Do tawbah. But then you're going to have to realize that someone's got to clean it up. So that's basic. So once you've done tawbah, between you and Allah, Allah has cleared it up. But Allah will not fix your entire life and make your life as though you never done that sin. No, Allah will forgive it. Forgiveness is separate. And having to face the consequences on your journey in life is something you have to, unfortunately, get on. Like Adam alayhi salam's mistake that he made. Wa alaikum assalam MP. Yamna Satak. Can we tell white lies that don't affect anyone if literally meaning the statement is true, especially when someone is praying and you don't want to reveal something personal? Praying. What do you mean by white lie? I mean, you gotta be specific what you mean. If you mean like white lie as in it's true, but it's like a bit exaggerated, maybe. But I mean, depends on what lie means. What's the ruling on delaying Hajj? Even if you are financially stable, would you be sinful if a person is waiting to go with a future spouse rather than on their own? You wouldn't be, according to majority of scholars, Hanafis, you wouldn't be sinful immediately. But I mean, it would be something which that the scholars say you can, as long as you go before you die, it's fine. But it's that thing that kind of, like, what if you die this year before, then you'll be sinful. So it's like a kind of like a pending sin. It's like a pending sin. So like the sin is pending on whether you die before you perform the Hajj. Is wearing an imama a sunnah or is it just a common Arab culture? Yeah, it's just the Arab culture. It's not sunnah mu'akkada. It's considered to be mustahab if you wear it with the intention of imitating the Prophet ﷺ. Like you do it because so much love you have that you want to copy him in all the things, like the clothes he wears and other things. Otherwise, it wouldn't be considered to be a sunnah. Does dua change qadar? How does that square with the belief that pens have been lifted and the ink has dried? And why would Allah destine one thing when He knows that it will change due to your du'as? So yeah, this is a very kind of detailed topic. I don't really have time now for this, but next time, inshallah, maybe on the weekend, I'm going to try to have a full question and answer So those who have asked questions on Curious Cat, I'm going to answer their questions inshallah. So keep this question. You can put it in the main comments, not in the chat comments, in the main comments in this video, and or on the Curious Cat. Post it on the Curious Cat, so then I can answer it there. So it's going to take me about 5-10 minutes, I would say, to explain that. Okay, do Sirah books like the Seal Nectar have parts based on weak hadith? I haven't really kind of checked out Seal Nectar fully and investigated it fully to be able to say that. But yeah, Sirah books are designed based upon reports, and many of them are not don't go through the same scrutiny as hadith of ahkam. So basically, you have three types of parts in our tradition: aqidah, rulings, law, and you have history. When it comes to history, the scholars are the most lenient when it comes to history. They will accept anything as long as it's not made up. When it comes to aqidah, they will only accept that which is categorical, strong. And when it comes to laws, they're like in between, right? So yeah, Sirah books, many Sirah books do have many. And recently, I mean, one of my friends, close friends, Maulana Bilal Ansari in America, he's actually done a review on this book that was written recently, on the new book on the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? And it's very good. Have a read of that. Just type in Google in Bilal Ali Ansari and review on Sirah book. Is the qada of Allah always good for the believer? What if it end up not even? Yes, this fits in with what the sister Yamna was asking. So inshallah, if you kind of add that into the Curious Cat, so when I have my Curious Cat session, I'll answer those. How to bring teen towards deen and how to make better relationship between teen and parents. Sam, I have no idea. I don't have any children and I don't have any teenagers. So I think the main thing a lot of people find difficult is teenagers have a change in their hormones, so they naturally become quite rebellious compared to other people. The thing is, sometimes teenagers, you just got to give them a bit of time, give them a bit of space. You know, you got to be a bit lenient in certain things. And I think just be like a friend to them, a listener, understand them. If a person's been very kind of unconsiderate or you can say, what's the word? Caring for many years of a child's bringing, youth, and all of a sudden they start practicing, and now they want their children to start practicing as well. I think a lot of people find it difficult there as well. So I'm not sure how to answer that. I think the best person to answer is someone who has kids. What's the ruling of someone who believes that Allah has power to lie but doesn't? Imkan kizb. I have no idea. Yeah, I'm not an expert in Aqidah. And these kind of things, this is like a ikhtilafi kind of issue that ilm al-kalam scholars, have. So, I mean, I'm not really kind of too much into that. I have heard there are two types of mahar from the Prophet ﷺ, mahar Fatimi and mahar Azwaj al-Nabi. What is better to give? I've heard Azwaj al-Nabi is better to give because the Prophet ﷺ gave it. Anyone, you can give anyone. Yeah, anyone is fine. There's no one is better than the other. It's just the Prophet ﷺ done it. Now some people think, well, the Prophet ﷺ done it. Shouldn't we be given this? Should we be given this? So none of them in the books of fiqh are preferred over the other. So whichever one you want to give. If you want to give more, you can give more, as long as the wife's happy. What is your opinion on Yazid? I don't know. I don't know about Yazid. Wallahu alam. Wadud, is it true that the Sunnah clothing is the clothing that society is wearing, provided that it falls within the Sharia? Is wearing a thobe specifically Sunnah? Yes, correct. Yeah, whatever the society is wearing, as long as it kind of fulfills the criteria of the Sunnah, meaning covers the body, it's not transparent, it doesn't show the limbs. Yeah, it could fall under the ruling of the Islamically compliant, you say, Islamic compliant clothing, basically. So I would rather say Islamic compliant clothing rather than Sunnah clothing. Are prawns makruh if you run them and wash them, devein them and wash them and cook them? Is it okay to eat them? According to Hanafis, many of them say no, it's not allowed, it's makruh. There's some Hanafis, I know many of my teachers say it's okay, it's fine. Is it okay to have a non-Muslim nanny for childcare for kids? Yes. As long as it's permissible, as long as what I would say is just be careful of how they kind of teaching the children, what they're teaching them and stuff like that. So as long as you're happy with what the activities. MP, if family members are doing forex trading and the money earned from that is used to buy the food of the house, is it okay to eat the food? As long as forex is, many scholars have this ikhtilaf regarding forex trading. Personally, I don't agree with it. But if they are kind of it depends what kind of forex, because there's different types of forex trading. There's even Islamic forex trading one as well. As long as most of the income is halal, a lot of the income is halal, then it should be fine. Sam, sure. So okay. If a woman wearing niqab wears eye makeup, e.g., natural eyeshadow and some eyeliner, is it okay? I wouldn't see a problem with it. I wouldn't see a problem. As long as it's not something that if you look at them, it looks very attractive. I think is catching attention. That wouldn't be. Okay, I'm gonna have to finish now. So, some can go out without abaya because Western culture dress code is different. Again, when it comes to the women clothing, as long as she's covering her body, as long as it's not tight and you can see the shape of her limbs when she normally stands or she normally just walks, then it's fine. Um, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Alaykum assalam, Sharif. How did the human race disperse after the flood of Noah alayhi salam? I don't have a time machine, bro. I don't know. Allah knows best. Yeah. Allah alam, I don't know. Anyway, I have to finish there. Wa alaykum assalam, Caribbean boy. Ahlan wa sahlan, Guyana. Okay, Jazakallah khair. Azan of Maghrib. I don't know if you guys heard that there. Azan of Maghrib. Thank you very much, guys, for coming on. I'm going to try to do another Q&A maybe on the weekend sometime. Right, so I'll let you guys know, inshallah. I'll try to make it fixed in the future, weekly, a fixed time. I think evening time best. I think more people come on evening time, and evening times are better. So I think I'll stick to that, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you, guys. Take care, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.